Okay, I want you to picture this for a second. You're just going about your day, and suddenly your phone vibrates in your pocket. You pull it out, and there's a single notification sitting on your screen. It just reads, Government deposit received.
So naturally, you open up your banking app. And right there, staring back at you, your balance reads exactly $1 million. No way, right? You refresh the screen. Do it again. It still says $1 million. But then another notification pops up, and you realize something absolutely astonishing. Every single citizen in the country just received the exact same amount. And within minutes, the entire country just completely changes. People are walking out of work, traffic is absolutely jamming the streets, and luxury stores are packed wall to wall with customers. Social media is literally calling it the richest day in history.
But let's look at how this actually plays out. A father walks into his local supermarket. Yesterday, a standard loaf of bread cost $2. But by mid-morning today, that same loaf is $5. He chuckles, thinking, hey, I'm a millionaire, and just buys it anyway. But an hour later, that same loaf of bread costs $12. And before the sun even sets, it's sitting at over $25. Now think about it. The bread didn't change, the farmer who grew the wheat didn't change, the delivery truck didn't change. The only thing that changed was the money. Your bank account still proudly says $1 million, but with every passing minute, you can buy less and less of what you actually need.
So what does this all mean? If everyone literally became millionaires overnight, why did everyone actually become poorer? It's kind of mind-bending. And furthermore, if governments have the power to simply create money, why don't they just create enough to wipe out poverty forever? Well, that very question has changed empires, it's shaken global economies, and it's sparked massive financial crises. Because honestly, the biggest mystery isn't how governments spend money. The real mystery of this explainer, the thing we're going to dig into, is where does money actually come from? We're going to put on our detective hats today to uncover a hidden system that is quietly affecting billions of people every single day. Chapter 2. The money you cannot hold. All right, I want you to really think about your bank account right now. Picture those numbers on your screen. Maybe it's $500, maybe it's $5,000, maybe a whole lot more. Now, answer one question for me. Where exactly is that specific money sitting? But hold on, don't answer too quickly, because almost everyone gets this wrong. Most of us picture this giant underground vault, rows and rows of cash locked away safely behind thick steel doors, just waiting for the day we walk in and ask for it. It sounds totally reasonable. It's what we see in movies all the time. But the reality? It's far stranger. We aren't talking about giant vaults of cash. We are talking about secure digital records. Let's run another quick thought experiment. What happens if literally every customer in your city walks into their bank on the exact same morning and they all ask for their money in physical cash? Take a wild guess. It would be chaos because the bank absolutely cannot hand everyone stacks of cash. And it's not because your money suddenly vanished into thin air, and it's not because someone robbed the place. It's simply because banks do not actually keep all customer deposits sitting there as physical banknotes. The truth is, modern money isn't really paper at all. It's primarily electronic bank deposits. We're talking about secure digital records that banking computers are updating every single second. That right there is the money you are using when you tap your card at a coffee shop, send a wire transfer, or get your paycheck. If you were to somehow wipe out those digital records, the balance completely disappears. Not because a pile of physical paper burned up, but because the record of ownership is just gone. In today's world, it's trust and record keeping that give money its actual power. But here's the catch. If most money exists just as digital records, who is creating those records in the first place? Let's get into Chapter 3, the $300,000 question. Let's look at a hyper-relatable situation. Let's say a young couple finds their absolute dream home for $300,000. But after years of scrimping and saving, they've managed to put away exactly $18,400. It's obviously not enough. It's not even close. So what do? The next morning, they walk into a bank. The bank reviews their income, they run a check on their credit history, and a few nail-biting moments later, the loan officer smiles and says, "Congratulations, your mortgage has been approved." Okay, actually, let's freeze the story right here for a second. Just 10 minutes ago, this couple absolutely did not have $300,000, but now they do. So where in the world did that money just come from? Let's rule out the obvious stuff, the logical, everyday assumptions we all might naturally make. Did some other random customer suddenly lose $300,000 from their savings account so the bank could fund this? No.
Did someone wheel literal stacks of physical cash out of a giant vault in the back room? Definitely not. Did a machine at the mint suddenly start printing brand new banknotes specifically for this loan? No. In modern banking, something truly remarkable happens behind the scenes. When a mortgage gets approved, the bank typically just creates a brand new digital deposit directly in the borrower's account, pretty much out of thin air. The seller gets paid, the family gets the keys to their home, and the financial system, it just records a brand new bank deposit. But wait, that doesn't mean your local commercial bank can just go rogue and create unlimited money whenever they feel like it. They have to operate under very strict rules. They have to manage risk, hold on to a certain amount of capital, maintain liquidity, and they have to answer to regulators. Which immediately brings us to the next massive piece of the puzzle. Who writes those rules? Who is out there giving the local bank this immense power, while somehow keeping the entire global financial system from collapsing? Chapter 4. The Invisible Referee. To answer that, we have to pull back the curtain and look at the mastermind institution quietly pulling the strings of the entire economic machine, usually working from behind highly secure entrances and very quiet meeting rooms. The central bank. They are, without a doubt, one of the most influential institutions in any modern economy. But here's the fascinating part. They don't operate every single gear of the machine. They don't approve your specific mortgage, and they don't choose which local bakery succeeds or fails. Instead, they zoom out. They set the critical big-picture conditions for the entire system to run.
Think of it like this. Imagine the central bank has this massive dial on a control panel. When they turn the dial so that borrowing gets cheaper, people and businesses look around and say, hey, let's borrow more. And boom, you see rapid expansion. Construction accelerates, new businesses pop up everywhere. But when they turn that dial the other way and borrowing suddenly gets really expensive, borrowers become cautious. Expansion naturally slows down, and families start delaying major purchases like cars or houses. By simply turning that dial, they influence millions and millions of decisions across the board.
And the central bank's ultimate goal? It isn't just endless runaway growth, but it's also not to stop growth altogether. Their goal is a very, very delicate balance. They are essentially acting as a giant scale, trying to support a healthy, growing economy on one side, while desperately trying to keep rising prices, what we know as inflation, under control on the other side. Which brings us to Chapter 5, When the System Breaks. Because history has shown us time and time again that this balance is incredibly difficult to maintain. When it's pushed to its absolute limits, whether by policy mistakes or wild events nobody could possibly predict, the warning signs usually start off really subtle. Prices just slowly begin creeping upward. Families standing in grocery store aisles start wondering why a carton of eggs suddenly costs so much more. Or, on the flip side, businesses get spooked and become cautious. They stop investing, construction cranes freeze, and companies quietly take down their "we're hiring" signs. That critical confidence slowly begins to evaporate. And when that delicate balance finally slips, the consequences reach way beyond just Wall Street or financial markets. We've seen economies face truly disastrous challenges. We've lived through periods of runaway high inflation, devastating financial crises, absolute bank failures where people lined up around the block, and deep, painful recessions. Now, each of these events had its own unique triggers, but they all hammer home the exact same lesson. Macroeconomic balance is incredibly fragile. When trust in the system weakens, a decision made in one tiny, seemingly unrelated sector ripples out to affect millions. Because at the end of the day, economies are never just about cold numbers on a spreadsheet. They're about families. They're about jobs, dreams, hard-earned savings, homes. Every single chart, every little data point we've looked at in this explainer today represents real human lives. So I want to leave you with this final, kind of profound thought. Money isn't just paper, or coins, or just pixels on a screen. It's a system built entirely on confidence. It is this vast, invisible machinery holding up our daily lives, and it runs 100% on our collective belief that will actually work. Without that shared trust, those numbers in your app mean absolutely nothing. So really think about that the next time you tap your card for a coffee or check your bank balance. What is it that you're actually trusting?